And we are live. Welcome to Dog in a Tank comics live stream. Today we're doing a mermaid character sketch with my original characters. I always kind of wanted to do a mermaid live stream, and I've just never gotten around to do a anything for Mermay. It's a thing that comes around, in May every year. So I want to do something, at least this year. Usually I'm too busy to do anything, so I have my opportunity. So you get to see me attempt to turn, if my pencil or, there we go, into, attempt to see me turn some of my characters into mermaids or some variation thereof. Just a bit of fun. These, of course, are not. Oh, it's not a new character. It's the same. It's actually Serena, the one on the thumbnail. So yeah, that's actually here. Let me scroll over. That's actually Serena. It's a very quick sketch because I was just trying to hurry up and put the thumbnail together to have something. So yeah. So yeah, this will be a little bit of fun. I've always liked mermaids. I've never really drawn much of mermaids. I've liked them, but I've never really drawn them much. So I also sort of consider this practice for something else that I'm working on. Here we go. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I feel like because it's a sketch of Serena, you don't have like her blonde hair to really clarify that it's her. So I may have to later on go in and rectify that by actually giving her more distinct look. Indeed, it certainly does make things perfect in time, bit by bit. And give me a minute here. There we go. I'm going to look up a quick reference, so I won't be looking at the comment section for a moment because I want to go search something real quick. Okay, cool. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Very nice. Okay. Come on. There we go. This thing didn't want to cooperate. There we go. So I plan on mostly, I guess, drawing Phantom Eclipse characters. If I can get this thing to, there we go, work. There we go. I might try to throw in some others, but I don't know how long I'll be able to do this live stream. I'm so I may suddenly just drop off. The Wi-Fi might give out on me because it likes doing that. It likes making me suffer. I had a heck of a time simply setting this thing up, so I'm just glad I got to this far. I got this far. Indeed, you need computer systems. They're wonderful things, and they're also very frustrating things. And I had one idea for a mermaid to draw a certain character as. So I'm trying to see if I can even remotely do justice by this. Some of these I might maybe go back and refine a little bit more. But this is just consider this like a quick, fun little sketch thing. We're not aiming for perfection here. We're just going to Bob Ross it, I suppose. Like, we're gonna have a happy little mermaid over here and a happy little mermaid over there. It's a little bit of fun. And come up here and establish. There we go. Sort of make it look like this one is looking down on us, because that's what she does. She looks down on people. Not a very wholesome pastime, but some people are just like that. They just look down on people because they have nothing better to do. And that's what this particular one does. She looks down on people. From her in-story height of 6'5". And if you're familiar with my work, you might guess who I'm drawing here. Granted, she doesn't have her token armor or mask, but that's because I felt like if I was going to draw her as any sort of mermaid, well, Mermay has been a thing around for a long time. I remember, I think, as my pen decides to mess up on me, like back when I first got on Webtoons, I kept seeing like a lot of people doing Mermay. I always wanted to do it, but it's like every year I spent most of my time working on my comic rather than doing anything fun like Mermay. So now that I'm no longer chained to the grind that is Webtoons, I can do whatever I want. Granted, I was chained to that more of my own will than obviously working professionally for them like a lot of people do. But it's still that thing of that rat race of trying to get stuff out there and get somewhere. So, as I blunder these eyes, I will live. That is why it's sketch. We will live. Here. There we go. Flip. There we go. So, yes. I actually, like I said, I had an idea for this one for a while now, so. I want to go for, I guess, sort of the Ursula vibe for this one. I don't know how effective that I will be in that, so we will just have to see. Sort of adjust the proportions here. There we go. And because this particular character, she does have a six-pack. Where would we be without evil, buff, alien villains? There we go. Maybe sort of work on the arms here a little bit. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. It's been a while. I haven't even really thought about that, but yeah, it's been a while. I may have to reread that one just for fun. I learned a lot from that time. It was not my best writing attempts, but it was a good learning experience. That is the way I look at my time writing any sort of fan fiction, is that it was a really good writing experience because I needed that experience. Even if I look at my fan fiction from way back when and I just silently cringe because of how horrible it was. But it was a learning experience. You gotta start somewhere. Indeed, it certainly does. Even if it's evil alien tyrant lady. You've actually seen her once before without her mask on, because I drew her that way a while back for, so I destroy that eye because I think it looks horrible. I like the other eye. To heck with it. I'm just gonna say outright instead of making people guess, because there are gonna be people who can't guess. This is Malfall if she were a mermaid. Not my best rendition of her. Because that's... There we go. So that's frustrating. Apparently... So yeah. Oh, they're over here. So I will have to keep a closer eye, I guess, on those, because otherwise it will probably just croak again, and I will not notice. The delay seems to be a lot less of a delay now, because I heard myself pretty fast that time, because I'm trying to make sure it's working as I'm working. So yeah, there we go. I have to draw like a madman now to outrun the Wi-Fi. Stupid Wi-Fi. Because I wanted to at least get an echo, and I really would like to get in another character that was introduced. If you remember chapter 5, for those of you that have read that, that introduced us to Tobias and his brother Thomas. So I would love to draw Tobias, because I have not drawn him in forever, and I would love to draw him as some sort of merman, because I think it'd be really fun. Here we go. Fix the nose. I'm trying not to draw the noses like I do for Grieving Princess and Flowers of Solace, because I'm trying to keep the art styles separate, and I'm going to do it anyways because I'm in a little bit of a rush to outrun the Wi-Fi. As I totally butcher this. I will... whatever. There we go. I have not drawn Echo in a while. Well, I remember her pretty good, because I've drawn her for literally years now. So I can go off of memory. That's what I like about the Phantom Eclipse stuff, is I don't have to have the reference sheets for at least the older characters. So there we go. This is not my best rendition, and she's looking a little too buff, so let's go in and adjust things real quick here. That's why I do several sketches whenever I'm drawing, because it always seems like the first sketch is loose, and everything after that is just refining the initial sketch. And of course the mermaid thing is going to probably throw off my proportions a little bit, but that's what it is. Yes, indeed, Wi-Fi is fired. It wasn't sugar that made her go nuts in that chapter. That was caffeine. I actually plan on touching on that later on in the series whenever I get around to it, to sort of clarify exactly why that happened. And it will be funny because of who I have chosen to elucidate that with. So I love to eventually get to where I can go into that and clarify key things. I don't like how that's shaped. There we go. Make her more feminine. There we go. You know, with muscular characters, your instinct is to make a lot of focus on the rib cage, and so whenever you're shifting gears and you want to draw a thinner character, you want to or a less buff character or leaner character, you want to kind of shrink that down a bit. I don't know if I'll get around to doing Draven. I would like to. The Wi-Fi seems to be holding out, and I'll probably jinx myself by saying that. So yeah. I'm considering what I want to do with Echo's mermaid outfit right now, because Serena's, I sort of just made like a nod to her Phantom outfit. So, but because Echo's is not really pliable in that way, I will just pivot and work with what I can think of. Since she has like that suit, that vest thing going. I mean, maybe I can do like a little rift on. There we go. That sort of works. That sort of works. Malfoy is easier because I've thought about her for a while. So. And yeah, everybody gets some sort of fancy skirt because I just think it'll be. Actually, I know what I can do with this. I know exactly what I can do with this. Go back to Echo's Phantom suit and do a riff on that. So that works out very nicely. So yeah. I am sort of trying to use some sort of sea fish, some sort of sea life as reference for some of these, because you'll notice the Echo does have a whale tail alluding to a key thing between her and Malfoy, as I butcher that arm. There we go. Let's just, there we go. She can be just, there we go. I need to zoom in for this. Zoom in for the little things. Is that thing, whenever I'm drawing loosely, I zoom out. Whenever I want precision, I zoom in. Probably things that every artist does. But it's still something I have to sometimes think about more. I don't know. Not the best hand, but it will do. It will do for now. So there we go. So give me a second here to see if I can refresh the chat. Okay. I'm going to see if I can wrap up Echo real quick here. I'm trying to think here. What's something I could... Since this is Phantom Eclipse characters, I guess I will elucidate for anyone who's listening to this that doesn't know anything about Phantom Eclipse. Aside from it being the series that I first did on webtoons, or well, actually the only series. Everything else has not been, like I said, I've gone away from webtoons because I just gave up on that and I want to do things my way. There we go. Basically it's a story about a girl, Echo, who gets pulled into a secret organization which is really shady, and she's like, something is seriously wrong here. And so it basically leads into her being like, we gotta get out of here. And so I swear I've always struggled trying to exactly clarify the story on this because it's my oldest story, but if I compare it to like how I can sum up Grieving Princess or Flowers of Solace, it's just two very different animals in these cases because it's got sci-fi because you have the alien aspect with Malfoy and her group. I think I'm just gonna make what's his face a normal. Well, I don't know. Maybe I can go for anglerfish vibe here. Give me a second. What does a dang anglerfish look like? Which is funny. Like, why pick an anglerfish for him? It's because Tobias is very much an ambush type character in terms of how he will often fight. He has a shadow thorn thing. I've derailed now. I'm no longer trying to explain the plot of Phantom Eclipse because it's easier to explain the characters. Oh, good heavens, they're ugly. Anglerfish, I mean. So I will take my inspiration where I can. And I'm sorry, Tobias, but you're just gonna have to live with it. So close, open. There we go. So anglerfish seem to have sort of a spiny tail there. I have not drawn this guy in forever, so I did the storyboard for chapter 6, and so effectively since chapter 6 I have not drawn Tobias since, because I've been working on other things like not rehabbing, but updating and improving chapters 1 and 2, so there is that. Here we go. So yeah, maybe. I'm trying to remember this guy's build. I know he's kind of a leaner build, like when compared to Merrick, because I want him to have a distinct body shape compared. So Tobias is specifically drawn with kind of a leaner shape to him. So yeah. And I think I'll go in here and there. I think that gives me enough to sort of work with for now. And make this bigger so I can operate operate on it better. There we go. Come on, get them. Yep, that's Clip Studio. That's what I get, because I tend to work with a very high DPI thing, which I'm sure someone would probably ding me for. It's just, I think about how DPI will easily. There we go. I can dip back into my normal style with this guy, I think. But I like having the higher quality because so often I see, like, you upload to Facebook, and if it's already a low quality image, just kiss that quality goodbye. So that is why one of the reasons I go with higher quality, because I'm trying to keep it looking about as good as it's going to. So yeah, I guess to sort of jump back to my earlier, this dude has a talk about how to explain Phantom Eclipse. What I learned to do at Comic Cons was to basically aliens and assassins. Oh my. I am out of practice from drawing this guy, so. Since you have the aliens being Mountfall and Company, creating the Phantom core in order to accomplish their goals of conquering Earth. And so then you have it. You have New Moon, which is where Tobias is from, and where some other characters are from, and they're the good guys. Yeah, I'm gonna be dropping some major spoilers here, but that's fine because spoilers sometimes get maybe not major spoilers, but like basic knowledge for anyone who have read up to chapter 5 at least. So, but I know a lot of people here are not going to, so I am sincerely sorry if you haven't. That, and I took that off of Webtoons, so. But hopefully one day I will make that available again, so for anyone who would like to read that, you can read that. But yeah. And I got 2 checks, okay. So yeah, this guy is actually one of my favorites to write. Because some characters, you create them and it's like you know exactly where to go with them. And I would say that with this guy and with we're going to put little spines here on the ear. So like Draven, Tobias, and a handful of others, I've had a pretty good idea of where I wanted to go with them. But Echo, I struggled with for a while. I think that's because whenever you're writing fan fiction, you have that kind of fallback of, well, you're technically not writing the main character. You're writing characters that interact with the main characters and the main cast. So you don't ever really think about writing the main character. And that's why I struggled with Echo for so long. Because after I created her, it was easy to do like everybody else, but I always struggled with her. So that's something I have since ironed out, since it's been a few years. I certainly hope I have ironed that out. And a large part of that is because I began thinking about how she would interact with like Malfoy. Because a key way to learn to write your protagonists is to think about how they would interact with the villain and then go from there, because villains can kind of act as an access for the rest of the story. And so oftentimes whenever I start a story, I will be developing the world and figuring out the villain before I really start figuring out the protagonist. And I wouldn't exactly recommend that to everybody, but if you struggle with your protagonist, then start asking questions about what to do with your villain there, or your antagonist, because those characters often serve as the access in the plot in terms of setting things into motion. We'll just put a little squiggly here to sort of separate the fish body from the human body here. Oh yes, I forgot his little angler fish doohickey. So yes, he's very much an ambush type character. Like he will literally just pop up out of nowhere and surprise whoever has the misfortune of being surprised. That's part of the fun in writing him, because he's a little bit of a loose cannon. But I love writing Tobias because he is a loose cannon. because ambush characters are kind of fun that way. He also sort of gets to eventually act as sort of a mentor for Echo, and so his character also helped me figure out what to do with Echo, because she needed a mentor figure, and really Arachne, who you will eventually meet in this story, she just doesn't really work in that role for Echo, because she's had a totally different life experience. And that's something else. I mean, if you ever watch like certain animes, pay attention to how key characters kind of, especially if you're an aspiring writer, pay attention to how key characters will sort of overlap in how their backstories are, because that's something you can use to anchor your plot and create a good starting point of figuring out what characters overlap in terms of, their relatability. How well do they relate to each other? There we go. Thin that down a little bit. Because every character has a different backstory, and some characters, whenever they have that similar backstory, they just kind of click, per se. Because they will have these experiences that they can relate to one another with, and they can go, I've been here before, especially if it's an older character. Like Tobias is, he's older than Echo, and he went through his experience a lot earlier in life compared to Echo. So it's that thing of, he's just in a different place in life than Echo because of that. But so yeah, I feel like I'm going to be spilling more beans. But still, that sort of gives you an idea of key things there, the overlap. And I'm trying to think here. Serena's backstory, which also, I mean, Serena can't really relate to Echo past the Phantom Core to a certain degree. And it's sort of that's something that I find really interesting to have thought about, because Serena really is one of those characters that if it weren't for Echo, she would have just gotten pulled into the undertow of the Phantom Core. Yep, we do. We do need to fall before we climb. So, I mean, that's just the sort of character that she was before sort of the development she has in Phantom Eclipse, because she just isn't. She's just used to going with the flow more than anything, rather than really questioning things. She has to have someone else who goes, something isn't right here. Draven, on the other hand, is different in the concept that she is just more independent, and she's also kind of by herself in the story. So there's that to consider. I'm sort of trying to go for a sea dragon look for her. I'm drawing her right now. If I can get this, it's not. I feel like it looks more like a seahorse than a sea dragon, but we'll work with that. Maybe she's like if she was a mermaid, she'd be like a seahorse that can become a sea dragon, since those two, I think, sort of overlap a little bit, at least appearance-wise. So yeah, I'm sort of trying to color code the character. So if a character has like a key color involved in their overall color scheme in the canon story, that's what I'm sort of going for here. And Draven is actually one of the easier characters to draw for me, assuming I don't immediately blunder this, since I haven't drawn her in a while. And that's because she had those cheekbones. I mean, there are other characters that have the cheekbones, but she was just the first one I really applied them to. And she has a little bit of a square jaw, because she was kind of based off of like a female bodybuilder. And my favorite part of drawing her, her bangs. The big swoopy bangs. Here we go. You gotta find a favorite thing when you're drawing a character. Every character, I think, has some sort of favorite thing to them whenever it comes to drawing them. Draven's is sort of her bangs and the dragon scales of her suit. I used to hate drawing the dragon scales because it took so darn long. And then it's just one of those things that the more you draw them, the better you get. So for people who want to draw dragon scale or any other sort of scaly thing, just practice it. It's time consuming, but once you get down, it's actually kind of very relaxing. Just sit there and think about how the scales overlap. There we go. And you scoot this up a little bit as I butcher that. There we go. There's the beauty of digital work. There we go. This is why I work digitally, but you don't want to work solely digitally. I alternate between traditional and digital because I learned a hard lesson early on that you don't want digital to become a crutch, and it can become a crutch. And we're just all over here with topics of discussions. Yep, it really does. She actually has, I think, a little bit easier suit to translate into, like, mermaid mode here. Because, like Serena, she kind of has that boxy part of armor on her chest. Except Serena's is a bit smoother and round, and Draven's is a little bit harder. Go in there, and there we go. I don't know if I'll actually get around to like going through and refining these. If nothing else, it's just fun to sort of experiment and draw it. Use it as an opportunity to get to work on my drawing skills and see how fast I can draw. There we go. So there we go. And I'm not exactly looking at a reference for the sea dragons or seahorses for Draven right now. So if I ever were to do anything else, I would certainly want to actually pull up a reference and look at it and refine it. So yeah, not my best rendition of Draven, but it'll do. It'll do for now. And I botched the lips, so I'm gonna go in and clean this up real quick as I hit the wrong button. There we go. Finer tip, there we go. But yeah, Draven's character I think was sort of loosely inspired by sort of the rival type characters I saw in anime whenever I first started. And she still serves that purpose as being a rival. And it's just something that I will probably think about and keep in mind with her character. Go in and fix the nose real quick. Give her a quick facelift before I finally absolutely move on here. I need to stop drawing it like the. I keep doing that. So part of that is probably going to be my art style itself changing. Part of that is going to be well, that's a little bit better. I was making her nose a little too narrow. And it's fine to make characters' nose narrow, but hers is not supposed to be that narrow. There we go. That'll do. And I'm gonna scoot these over. Well, I'm hoping you'll have more favorite characters as time goes on. Just ease that over. Well, actually, I made an exception here because I drew Malfoy with red, and I probably should have drawn her with purple, but that's fine. It makes her pop out next to the others. If I can get this thing to stop grinding. There we go. I'm now trying to think of somebody else to throw in here. To heck with it. I'm going to do... see if I can squeeze her in here. I've been drawing her a lot lately since I started drawing. I may have to kind of readjust things here again. And there we go. Squish that up there. Scoot over. That's the worst thing, I guess, doing all the characters like vertically like that is because it takes up a lot of space. Ooh. And probably another reason why I've always wanted to do Mermay, besides the fact that I like the Little Mermaid, is because I keep seeing so many of these cool, like, I saw one a while back of Shinobu Kocho, assuming I pronounced that right, from Demon Slayer, a really beautiful version of her as a mermaid. And I just really loved how that looked. And it's kind of thing if you see something and you're like, I want to draw that. And then you go, I can't right now because I'm kind of dedicated to this other thing. So it's a little frustrating. Let me see if I can go in here and kind of... There we go. That's better. When you're doing rough draws, you kind of want a bigger thing. But yeah, I keep seeing so many cool mermaid arts, no, drawings and stuff of various characters, and so I've just always wanted to kind of satisfy that itch and draw some of my characters like that. So yeah. And probably the worst thing about me trying to do more than one story right now is because that means I'm going to have to be learning a lot of new characters. But that's also a good way to build, I think, get a wider grasp of characters and learn to kind of bounce between them and draw the different characters, as it forces you to kind of think about things a little bit more. It's like, what features does this character have that sets them apart from the other characters? I mean, like I said, with writing different stories, it gives you the experience to look at one story and go, well, I've done this before, so I don't want to do that again. And that's something you will hear some people on YouTube sometimes talk about, how you want to have like this wide reference dictionary for characters and for also for writing, but in this case I'm talking more so about characters, because you want to look at other characters and you want to look at people in real life, and you want to get fresh ideas on what you want to incorporate into your next character, especially if you're doing a bunch of them. I was actually trying to draw a I want to call it a were elf, but that's not quite it for Grieving Princess. I'm not happy with the little bit of a sketch I did, so I will be going back and probably redrawing that at some point because I'm not happy with it. I think that's good enough for now. And so I plan on redrawing that because I want it to look a little bit more wolf-like, I guess. You know, it's that thing, you want to kind of hit that perfect balance between the animal you're trying to incorporate and the more fantasy-like elements. So that's something I've been bouncing around in my head. I'm not happy with the little bit of a sketch I did, so I will probably definitely be wanting to go in and fix that, work on it some more. That's one thing I guess I really like about the way I've changed up how I handle doing my workload now, because it gives me the opportunity to slow down and think more about the character designs, because with Phantom Eclipse I was literally sometimes just doing the character designs on the page as I went along, and that's not the way you want to do it. You really want to take the time to draw the character and have that reference sheet before you go in and start drawing the character over and over, because I feel like you're going to be possibly training yourself to do mistakes over and over again. And of course, nothing will ever be perfect, especially in anything that's hand drawn, but you still want to do the best that you can. So yeah, and as you can probably guess by how I've sort of shifted, what I've been talking about is because this is, I do plan on doing Lacrimosa. I mentioned Shinobu Kocho's the mermaid art that I saw of her the other day, because I sort of want to do something comparable with Lacrimosa, since she is based on the lunar moth. So I thought it would be really cool to try to do something like that real quick. I'm sort of hitting like that sweet spot where I might want to be winding down soon. I'm just happy I got to do so far most of the characters I wanted to do so far. Being Malfall, being Tobias, Echo, Draven, who I wasn't initially planning on, but I wanted to throw her in because I need to draw her, because it's been a while. Let me refine this a little bit. Not the best nose. We'll work with it. So yeah. And that's the key thing about being an artist, is you see things and you take inspiration from it. I sort of wish I had saved that piece to my phone for reference for this, but I'm actually glad that I didn't, because I try to actually separate myself from my point of inspiration, because the goal is to be inspired, not to copy. And I don't know if I've ever really heard anybody say that, but now that's out in the world for anyone. It probably has been touched upon. I'm sure someone out there has. But you just don't want to copy what someone else has technically already done. You want to take the inspiration, you want to run with it, and you want to create your own original thing with it. And let let me see. And I think once again, kind of the way Lacrimosa's outfit is really works well for this. Let me change. There we go. Here we go. And the rest of that. And that's something, I guess. For the most part, I really kind of like Lacrimosa's design in her first appearance. But I am thinking that she will get, you know, different designs later on. There we go. Okay, there we go. Because I do plan on her kind of having a wide wardrobe, maybe not a wide wardrobe, but, you know, not showing the character in the same thing over and over again. That's something, I guess, I feel like there's some people that are fine with that. It's just, to me, I like having the opportunity to draw the characters in different outfits. That's not the best rendition for that, but there we go. Let's sort of taper that a little. And go back up here. And I guess one thing I was thinking about later on, whenever I was thinking that Lacrimosa's design is a little similar to Serena's, but I'm sort of trying to make her bangs actually kind of go away from that. Make it look, you know, she's been living out out in the forest now for the past 6 years, so they're a little unkempt and rough. Because I like doing the bangs down the middle, because it's a really easy thing. For the most part, all my characters have bangs. It's very rare that my characters don't have bangs. But for me, that's something to play with. I mean, I am now thinking about characters that don't have the bangs that I speak of. And I guess one of my biggest complaints about bangs, namely the ones like Echoes or Dravens, where it parts specifically on one side, is whenever you see someone just copy, paste, and flip. And I understand that that's a little hack for digital art, but I did that once years ago, and I just hate it because later I looked at it and I'm like, oh, good grief. Oh, I hate it. It looks lazy. It's like, you can get away with it if the character has either no part, a hairstyle that is, you know, one that's flippable, I would say. But whenever there's that part on one side, then I just feel like it's a glaring issue. And that's my own little pet peeve. I understand why people do things, but it's just something that kind of frustrates me a little bit because, you know, it's not always good to take shortcuts. Some things you can shortcut and get away with. Others, for me as an artist, it bothers me. And I think I will call it the end of this live stream. Aside from the difficulties with the Wi-Fi and other things, this went pretty well. As I make it worse than I intended. Oh well. So there we go. There's our happy little mermaid people. I think I'll go in, and I sort of shrunk Serena earlier to make sure she would be out of the way and make sure everybody else would fit. I think I'll go in and make her a little bit bigger now. There we go. So yeah, I think this was a pretty fun sketch. Like I said, these are just for fun, so in case anyone happens to see this, this is a fun bit. This is nothing canon. So then these characters will be mermaids in their respective universes. It's just a bit of fun. So I guess I will wrap it up on that note, and thank you for coming and watching. If you enjoy it, like, subscribe, and I shall probably see you all next